Hello Land Cruiser gang, I have a package from California. This has come from Trail Tailor because I've got a couple little pieces that I need to sort out before I can take the Land Cruiser off-road. First thing I've got is these recovery points to replace the factory ones because they're a lot more stout and they also have a bigger shackle than the standard ones. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with the bolts yet, but I'd like your advice on that in case we've got any bolt experts here. I also ordered the extended drop links for the front and the rear of the car, which I'll explain why I'm doing that in a sec, and I'll compare because I also happen to have a standard rear drop link. I can only find one, so I think maybe I've done the front ones when I did the torsion bars re-indexing, but I can only find one of the rear ones. But that will allow us to compare standard versus what I just got from Trail Tailor. So let me take you over here and we'll do some comparisons. Right, what do we have? First thing to point out is that I've just removed these from the car so that I can do a comparison. And I was intending to reuse the standard bolts on the Land Cruiser, and this is what I need some advice on. So first of all, just quick comparison on the size. These ones, nearly 13 millimeters diameter, 7 millimeter thickness, and on the base plate 12.5 and 7. So much thicker, like 5 millimeters thicker, 5.5 millimeters thicker. And the shackle point is a difference also. The shackle on the Trail Tailor is an inch, 25.8, nearly 26 millimeters. The narrowest point on the standard one is 21. So the first difference is that you can get a bigger shackle through the recovery point. It's 5 millimeters thicker, but there is a complexity because I intended to use the standard bolts from the car. Now, I have two questions about this. First of all, I'm looking for some advice about the bolt gradings. If I buy new bolts, I can spend, maybe 25, 30 pounds and I can get bolts that are graded and I can measure these and get the exact sizes. And then I'll know for sure what the strength of the bolt is. But does anyone know how you grade the Toyota bolts? Because I looked up the Toyota service manual and I could see that this 11 just meant that it was a class 11T, but I couldn't figure out what that meant in terms of its grade and whether it's suitable for the job. These standard, I'm calling these recovery points, but on the internet folks will always say that's not a recovery point, it's a tie-down strap. Now, I don't know, I think you'd be hard pushed to do some damage on that if you were doing a recovery. What is an interesting thing is that this is also bolted on, so your arrangement looks like this underneath the car. And this hook, that's clearly too thin at this end to be used as a recovery point, but it's twisted. And I'm just wondering, like, are they all twisted in that way? Like it's been rotated at some point instead of being straight. Is that how it comes from the factory, or is that damage? Has someone used this to pull something and they've done a poor job? That's what I couldn't figure out. So that one, if it has been bent, that's clearly a demonstration that that's not good enough. But these ones seem to be okay. Nonetheless, I have purchased these ones from Trail Tailor. In total, I spent $478 US, which comes out about £380. The most expensive part was actually the front drop links. I think they were $140, $110 for the rear drop links, and about $130 for these. I don't know if my math is mathing. This upgrades from 7 millimeter up to 12.5, basically ½ inch. But my problem with the bolts is I'm not sure if I can reuse the factory ones. I might need to get ones that are higher tensile strength. Secondly, they don't appear to be the same size. If I use the standard bolt, there's a bit of slack in there, as evidenced by me jiggling, and that is a 15 millimeter diameter. The new ones are 16.2 millimeters in diameter, and so the rattle is more profound. I don't know if I can still use the standard bolts, and will there be enough strength since they are not perfectly centered? Can I use these standard bolts? Do we think, off-road people, that I can use my factory bolts, or at least the same factory diameter, measure these up and get a set of replacements which are graded for their tensile strength? That is my question about the recovery points. Once these are on, I'll have one front, one rear, and that should let me recover. I'm not winching or anything fancy. Next, we've got the drop links. The reason I've bought these, I have an upgraded anti-roll bar in the rear, or sway bar, and it is thicker, and that has solved my body roll problem. But now that I'm running a higher ride height on the car, there's some evidence to suggest that the bar is preloaded because it's not sitting in a factory position anymore. So I'll use this Allen key as an example. When your sway bar is set, it exerts pressure up and down on the suspension, and that twisting force helps with body roll because the bar reinforces it and it stops the chassis from twisting. If your bar is no longer in the right position, in my example, my bar is now raised up because of the lift. Now I don't have the same up and down travel on the end link of the suspension. Now I have a forward and back element. It's not just straight up and down anymore. There's an angular force. What I want to do with these longer drop links is get my roll bar back down into its original position so that the movement is now back to being vertical up and down on that on the anti-roll bar. Up and down rather than like an arc. And in theory that will improve my ride quality. So for a comparison here, these are longer by 1.25 inches, it's about 30 millimeters. And they are thicker. So this is 15 millimeters thick on the new one, 13 on the old. 1.25 inches longer, 2 millimeters thicker. But also even the hardware, like this washer is thicker also on the trail trailer part. The bolt head is thicker. So we're now dealing with, instead of a 12 millimeter, we've got a 14 millimeter bolt on it. The rod itself is thicker. The bar is thicker. We're longer, better quality hardware. So I'm very pleased with those. Same goes for the front. Upgraded hardware, thicker and longer. I'm not expecting this to give me any more flex. If I wanted more flex, I'd have to disconnect the rear drop links because I've got this massive bar on there to help solve my body roll because I mostly drive on the road. But these should help with the ride comfort. And in fact, because I'm a lunatic, I'm going to get a forklift and I will do a flex test. Yes, I will flex test this and I will come back because I'll just use the forklift to lift one of the wheels. I'm sure nothing can go wrong with that. There's the back one. Now, my concern here is that the standard bolts aren't really long enough because I've taken one of the two washers out, taken the spring washer away, but I think I'll need to get longer ones here anyway so that I've got more bite, so there's more threads into the captive nut or you know, into the threaded part of the chassis. So the back definitely needs longer bolts. Let's have a look at the front. Just a single washer on there, but they're in, easy to fit. I haven't put the other one back on the other side, so I'll decide what I'm going to do there. I might just restore the standard shackle. I don't know if I want to spend another or whatever it is, nearly $200 for more. So I might just live with one front, one back. The front one might be okay, but back one, I'll get some longer bolts. Upgraded recovery points, upgraded and longer or extended drop links for front and rear. That should help with anti-roll bar stiffness. I'll feedback if I find that helps with the sort of preloaded, bound up feeling that the suspension has at the moment. I'll report back and tell you if that improves that. I would like your help just to let me know if you understand these bolt gradings. You know, why am I looking over here? I need to look over here. If you can help me understand these bolt gradings, what is a class 11T? And then my question about whether or not I can retain the standard bolts, and if I don't have to worry about this movement in the mounting point. Those would be my questions. If you have any other observations here about, I keep looking at the wrong side, so if you've got any other observations here about the drop links or the recovery points, please do let me know. If you've got advice to offer about the bolt mounts or the bolt strength, again, I would love to hear from you. Or if you've used any of these parts, like the extended drop links, did you feel any difference? You know, is this a problem that you have also, where your suspension feels preloaded now that you've done a lift? Please do let me know in the comments. I get that this is probably niche, right? Probably most people are not running lifted, body lifted, upgraded anti-roll bars, and then also thinking that they can get ride comfort. I get that, so we're maybe a bit niche. But if you've got any advice to offer, do let me know. If this is interesting, if you'd like to see any of the other parts that I've purchased, you know, I can kind of break down why I've bought them and my experience with them, please do let me know. And otherwise, thank you for watching. Look after one another, make good decisions if you can, and I will see you in another video very soon. Thanks everyone.